Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about how to write a research paper, especially for science and engineering students. I am Neha Agrawal. I have a master's degree from NTU Singapore and have coached a lot of students in improving their research writing skills. So today we're going to talk about how are you going to write a research paper, what are the different sections that you're supposed to include, what is the purpose of each of these sections, and what is the content that you're going to write in each of these sections. So let's get going. Now the first section is the introduction section, and it's important because it's one of the first things that researchers are going to read. So you need to make a good impression. Now even before you start writing this section, you need to ask yourself, why am I even writing the introduction section? What is its purpose? So the purpose of this section is to share the rationale behind the paper. Why is your research important? And you're going to do that by first sharing the motivation or the background of your study. And you will do this by either explaining the key terms, giving some historical data, or giving some definitions. Then you will move on to explaining the existing evidence, which is the literature survey. So you're going to talk about what is the research that the existing researchers have done so far. After that, you will share the research gap. And now what is the research gap? The research gap is actually the issue that the researchers have not been able to solve so far. And once you have clearly established the research gap, you will move on to stating the objective, which is what are you trying to achieve in this particular paper to fulfill that research gap. And then lastly, you will also state the scope of your work, which sets the boundary for your research. The next section is the materials and methods section. And here the purpose of this section is to explain how you arrived at the final result or the final product to fulfill your objective. So you're going to start by giving a description of the materials that you have used to conduct the experiment, and then you will talk about the step-by-step procedure that you have followed to arrive at the final result. And once you have done that, you will also talk about the instruments or the equipment that you have used to analyze the data. Now, writing the materials and methods section is pretty straightforward most of the times. And one thing that you need to take care of is the reliability of your experiment, which means that the information that you're presenting in this section should be written in such a way that if somebody tries to replicate your experiments, they should arrive at the same results as you. The third section is the results and discussion section, and the purpose of this section is to share the findings of your research and how it helps in fulfilling that research objective. So you will start off by sharing the data first, which can be in the form of visuals, graphs, figures, tables, or any illustration for that matter. And then you will attach a meaning to that data, which is called as result. So let me take a very simple example to explain that. Say for example, you have a graph of x is equal to y. That constitutes as your data. But when you say that for an equal increase in x, there is an equal increase in y, that is called as a result, because here you're explaining what that data means and you're attaching a meaning to it. And when you comment on that result and link it to the research objective or the research gap that you discussed earlier, that is called as discussion. So remember that the results and discussion section constitutes of three things. The first is your data, which can be in the form of visuals, graphs, figures. Then is your results, where you attach a meaning to that data. And when you comment on that result and link it to the research objective, that is called as your discussion. The next section is the conclusion section, and here the purpose of this section is to remind your readers why you started your research in the first place and finally what you have achieved out of it. So in this section you can reiterate your objective and review the key findings of your work. After that, you're going to talk about the broader applications or implications of your study and basically how your study has helped in making a contribution to that field. Finally, you can also close this section by talking about the limitations from your study, if any, and then talking about the future scope and how your research can be extended further. The last section that you will see on the research paper is the references section. And here you need to give due credit to all the sources that you've referred to, either during your research or while writing this paper. So you will neatly list down all the sources following a citation style of the journal that you're going to send your paper to for publication. Last but not the least is the abstract section. And even though it appears right on the top, but it should be the last section that you write. And why is that? Because an abstract is a summary of the entire article. And once you've written your entire research paper, you will know what are the key points that you've written in each of the section that you need to include in your abstract. So an abstract is a summary, as I said, and it includes these 5 points. The first is the motivation or the background of your study. Then you're going to talk about the research objective and the problem statement of your work. After that, you will share a brief overview of the methodology, share the key findings and the results from your study, and finally close your abstract with a conclusion which shares the significance of your research and the broader implications of your study. And now for a pro tip. Please try to make your abstract as interesting as possible, because it's on the basis of an abstract the researchers decide whether they want to read the rest of your paper or not. So don't forget to make it very interesting. So guys, these are the 6 important sections of a research paper. Now if you have any doubts regarding any of these sections, do leave your comments below and I will try and clear your doubts for you. Additionally, if you would like me to make more research videos like these, do subscribe to the channel. You can also visit my website and register for a free demo to any of my workshops if you would like to learn research writing in detail. So thank you so much for watching this video and I wish you all the best for your research paper. Go get yourself published.